Burmese girl who had fled into exile after the crushing of the democracy movement, a Jewish girl whose twin guiding stars were Gandhi and the Zionist philosopher Martin Buber, and an African-American who hoped the course would allow him to finally choose between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. There were also a Japanese boy and plenty of Caucasians. In the class and in the papers they wrote, the students took the arguments with Gandhi in all kinds of directions, some of them wholly unanticipated by the instructor. The course turned out to be the most enjoyable I have ever taught. This, I realized, was almost entirely due to my choice of subject. How many students in Berkeley would have enrolled for a course called Arguments with de Gaulle? And if an American historian came to the University of Delhi and proposed a course entitled Arguments with Roosevelt, would there have been any takers at all? Roosevelt, Churchill, de Gaulle, these are all great national leaders, whose appeal steadily diminishes the further one strays from their nation's boundaries. Of all modern politicians and statesmen, only Gandhi is an authentically global figure. What accounts for Gandhi's unique status? He worked in 3 different countries and continents, Britain, South Africa, and India. Anti-colonial agitator, social reformer, religious thinker and prophet, he brought to the most violent of centuries a form of protest that was based on non-violence. In between political campaigns, he experimented with the abolition of untouchability and the revival of handicrafts. A devout Hindu himself, he had a strong interest in other religious traditions. His warnings about individual greed and the amorality of modern technology, seemingly reactionary at the time, have come back into fashion as a result of the environmental debate. Educated in Victorian England, making his name in racialist South Africa, Gandhi's life and work are writ large against the history and geography of his time. The years of his most intense political activity witnessed the rise of Bolshevism, the rise and fall of fascism, the 2 world wars, and the growth of anti-colonial movements in Asia and Africa. While Gandhi was leading a mass movement based on non-violence in India, Mao Zedong was initiating a successful, violent revolution in China. To both scholar and layperson, Gandhi is made the more interesting by his apparent inconsistencies. Sometimes he behaved like an unworldly saint, at other times like a consummate politician. Asked by a British journalist what he thought of modern civilization, he answered, "I think it would be a good idea." Yet this foe of the West acknowledged 3 white men, Henry Salt, John Ruskin, and Leo Tolstoy, among his mentors. This rebel, who called the British Empire satanic, wept when London, a city he knew and loved, was bombed during the Second World War. And this celebrated practitioner of non-violence actually recruited Indians to serve in the First World War. Gandhi enjoyed a long life and is enjoying a vigorous afterlife. His message was communicated, or travestied, depending on one's point of view, in a film made by Richard Attenborough in 1982, a film that won 9 Oscars and was a box-office hit. His example has inspired rebels and statesmen of the caliber of Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, the Dalai Lama, and Aung San Suu Kyi. The techniques of non-violence that he fashioned have endured. A study conducted of some 5 dozen transitions to democratic rule concluded that in over 70% of cases, authoritarian regimes fell not because of armed resistance, but because of boycotts, strikes, fasts, and other methods of protest pioneered by this Indian thinker. Most recently, during the so-called Arab Spring, activists in Egypt, Yemen, and other countries displayed photographs of Gandhi and closely studied his methods of struggle and protest. More than 6 decades after his death, Gandhi's life and legacy are discussed and sometimes acted upon in countries he barely even knew of, and he continues to loom large in the life of his native land. His ideas are praised as well as attacked, dismissed by some as dangerous or irrelevant, yet celebrated by others as the key to resolving the tension between Hindus and Muslims, low castes and high castes, humans and the natural environment. Testimony to Gandhi's global significance is provided by the books about him that roll off the world's presses. These have been enabled by the publication by the Indian government of the collected works of Mahatma Gandhi. The series runs to 100 volumes, a colossal effort of editing and collation that includes tens of thousands of letters, speeches, essays.